Welcome, family, friends, dignitaries, and most of all, welcome all the military personnel and their families. Thank you for choosing to be here this fine Sunday afternoon. At this time, I ask that all who are able to please unite by standing, removing your hats, and saluting our flag by placing your right hand over your heart while joining the Watertown Elks Jolly Corks Band in the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at our twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Very nice, thank you. Would you please be seated? Members and guests, the purpose of this service is to honor our country's flag, to celebrate the anniversary of its birth, and to recall the achievements attained beneath its folds. We are also here to honor and recognize the men and women who have dedicated or currently dedicate their service to ensure our freedoms and rights of this great nation by proudly serving or have served in the military. For they are the reason Old Glory still shines so brightly and tall. We must never forget the contributions and sacrifices these family, friends, and even strangers have given, even up to the ultimate sacrifice. It is quite appropriate that such a service should be held by the Order of Elks, an organization that is distinctly American, intensely patriotic, and without counterpart. Esteemed leading night, what are the fraternal aims of the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks?
To inculcate the principles of charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity, to promote the welfare and happiness of mankind, to uphold our country and its laws, and to quicken the spirit of American patriotism.
Esteemed leading night, what is the significance of the American flag?
It is emblematic of the crowning virtue, charity.
Esteemed loyal night, what is the significance of the American flag?
It is emblematic of justice for all.
Esteemed lecturing night, what is the significance of the American flag?
It is a symbol of brotherly love.
Lodge Esquire, what is the significance of the flag from the station of the exalted ruler?
It is emblematic of fidelity.
Charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity are the cardinal principles of our order, and they are exemplified in all of our services. By them, we teach love of country and of our countrymen and loyalty to our American way of life. To be an elk is to be an American citizen who lives for their country and is ready to die for it. Please stand. Our chaplain, Doris Friedel, will lead us in prayer.
Almighty God, in this hour of patriotic observance of the birthday of the American flag, we ask you to bless our flag and the people of these United States. For all that our flag represents, both at home and abroad, we thank thee, and through all our history as a nation, it has been an ensign of freedom, liberty, and opportunity. And through the years to come, may this flag wave as the banner of liberty, freedom, and enlightenment. May this service bring to each of us a sense of loyalty to our country and enable us to be better patriots, truer citizens, and more loyal Americans, to thy glory and to the honor of this great nation. Amen.
Amen.
Everyone, please be seated as we take a moment to reflect and while Elks member Paul Dominguez plays America the Beautiful on the cello. Thank you, Paul, for the beautiful music. That we may better understand the meaning of our flag, I call upon Dennis Daly for the history of the flag.
Heraldry is as old as the human race. The carrying of banners has been a custom among all peoples and all ages. These banners usually contain some concept of the life or government of those who fashioned them. The evolution of the American flag marks the progression of the government of the American people. From the founding of Jamestown in Virginia in 1605 until 1775, the flag of England was the flag of the peoples of America. Present flag 1. In 1775, the pine tree flag was adopted for all colonial vessels, and this was the banner carried by the Continental forces in the Battle of Bunker Hill. Present flag 2. The southern colonies from 1776 to 1777 used the snake flag. Present flag 3. In the latter part of 1775, the Continental Congress appointed a committee to consider the question of a single flag for the 13 colonies. That committee recommended a design of 13 alternate stripes of red and white with an azure field in the upper corner bearing the red cross of St. George and a white cross of St. Andrew. John Paul Jones, the senior lieutenant of the flagship Alfred, hoisted this flag to the masthead on December 3rd, 1775, and 1 month later it was raised over the headquarters of General Washington in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in compliment, as he wrote, to the United Colonies. This flag, called the Continental Colors and Grand Union, was never carried in the field by the Continental Land Forces, but it was used by the Navy as its exclusive ensign, and was the first American flag to receive a salute of honor, a salute of 11 guns from the Fort of Orange in the Dutch West Indies. Present flag 4. In response to a general demand for a banner more representative of our country, the Congress on June 14th, 1777 provided that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes of alternating red and white, and the Union be 13 stars, white on a blue field, representing a new constellation. Present flag 5. It is generally believed that in May or June of 1776, a committee consisting of George Washington, Robert Morris, and George Ross commissioned Betsy Ross, a Philadelphia Quakeress, to make a flag from a rough design that they left with her. It is said that she suggested that the stars should have 5 points rather than 6. This starry banner was first flown at Fort Stanwix, called Fort Schuyler at the time, near the city of Rome, New York, on August 3rd, 1777, and was under fire 3 days later at the Battle of Oriskany, August 6, 1777, during a British and Indian attack. The first official salute to the Stars and Stripes was given on February 14, 1778, by France, on the French coast, when the Ranger, under the command of John Paul Jones, was saluted by the French fleet. This flag, then carried by the Ranger, was made by the young women of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, from stripes of their best colored silk dresses and the white wedding gown of a recent bride. It is said that this same Ranger's flag was flown by Jones's ship, the Bonhomme Richard, in its thrilling fight by moonlight upon the high seas with the British frigate Serapis. When the Serapis struck her colors, the immortal fame of John Paul Jones was ensured as the intrepid defender of the youthful republic. The original 13 Stars and Stripes represented the original 13 colonies. 1795, 2 additional Stars and Stripes were added to represent admission to the Union of Vermont and Kentucky. Under this banner of 15 Stars and Stripes was fought the War of 1812. It was the site of it flying over Fort McHenry on September 14, 1814, that inspired Francis Scott Key to write what was to become our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. Miss Margaret Young, who cut the stars for that particular banner, was the mother of Henry Sanderson, the Grand Exalted Ruler and National President of the Order of Elks in 1884. Present Flag 6. The Congress, on April 14, 1818, adopted a resolution that on and after July 4th of 1818, the number of stripes should be 13, and that the blue field should carry 1 star for each of the 20 states in the Union, and that a new star should be added for each state thereafter admitted. Present Flag 7. Since 1818, there has been no change in the flag design except that 28 new stars were added before July 4th, 1912. And this flag of 48 stars flew over this nation for 47 years until just before the Vietnam War. Present Flags 8 and 9. On July 4th, 1959, a star was added for Alaska, our first non-connected state, and a year later, Hawaii, our island state, added a 50th star. Our present flag, 50 stars and 13 stripes. It is accompanied by the POW-MIA flag to recognize the plight and demise of a special group of our armed services, those who were prisoners of war or still remain in action. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to introduce the Elk members, who are also veterans, that are tending today's flags. Please hold your applause until after I have introduced all. Richard Block, please stand. Ron Moss is holding the snake flag. The St. George and St. Andrew flag is held by Dick DeCono. Joe DeCono holds the 13-star flag. Tom Finnell is holding the 15 stars and stripes. Mike Meyer is holding the 13 stars and stripes. The 48 stars is standing in for Stan Jones is Gus Godfroy. Jerry Hepp is holding the POW, and standing in for Matt Vilwalk is Christine Crum. Please continue to stand as I ask Steve Gillis, you're already standing, from the Post Legion Post to stand, and all other veterans currently serving our great nation or have served our great nation. Please stand and be recognized. Thank thank you all for your dedication to coming to the ceremony and participating.
Thank you. Would everybody please stand and salute our flag? As this emblem is first in our hearts as loyal Americans, so is it close to our altar as loyal Elks. The gentle breezes with lingering caress kiss the folds of no flag which can compare with it in beauty. There is no such red in budding rose, in falling leaf, or sparkling wine. No such white April blossom, in crescent moon or mountain snow. No such blue in woman's eyes, or women's ocean's depths, or heaven's dome. And no such pageantry of clustering stars and streaming light in all the spectrum of the sea and sky. Please be seated. Our flag is at once a history, a declaration, and a prophecy. It represents the American nation as it was at its birth. It speaks for what it is today, and it holds the opportunity for the future to add another stars to the glorious constellation. The Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks is the first and only fraternal body to require formal observance of Flag Day in July of 1908. The Grand Lodge of this order at Dallas, Texas, then assembled, provided for the annual nationwide observance of Flag Day on the 14th of June in each year, by making it mandatory upon each subordinate lodge of the order. This unique distinction as the strongest promoter of Flag Day is most becoming to the Order of Elks. This order is distinctly American. Only American citizens are eligible to join in, and it has no foreign affiliations. It has linked its destiny with the destiny of our country and made this flag its symbol of self-dedication to God, to country, and to fellow men. Once again, my friends, I ask that if you are able to rise and sing with us, God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with
Thank you. I will now call upon Ryan Schwantz for the reading of the response.
The Stars and Stripes, flag of the United States of America. The worldwide hope of all who under God would be free to live and do his will. Upon its folds is written the story of America, the epic of the mightiest and noblest in all of history. In the days when peoples of the old world groveled in abject homage to the heresy of the divine right of kings, a new constellation appeared in the western skies. The Stars and Stripes, symbolizing the divine right of all to life, liberty, happiness, and peace under endowment by their Creator. To what man or woman is given words adequate to tell the story of the building of this nation? That immortal story is written in blood and sweat, in heroic deeds and unremitting toil, in clearing the primeval forests and in planting of vast prairie once the coyote and buffalo roamed. Onward swept the nation, spanning wide rivers, leaping vast mountain ranges, leaving in its path villages and farms, factories and cities, till at last this giant nation stood astride the continent from the Atlantic to the Pacific. This is the heritage of the people of the United States. It has been repurchased by each succeeding generation and must be rewon again and again and again until the end of time, lest it too shall pass like the ancient empires of Greece and Rome. The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. What was won at Lexington and Concord and Bunker Hill had to be repurchased at Ticonderoga and Yorktown. What John Paul Jones achieved upon the high seas in the War of Independence had to be repurchased by Commodore Perry on Lake Erie in the War of 1812. The prestige of Admiral Dewey's victory at Manila Bay in 1898 was re-won by the naval battles in the seas about the far distant lands of the Pacific. After the sneak attacks upon Pearl Harbor and Manila in 1941 had summoned our country to assume its role in World War II. What our troops achieved under the Stars and Stripes at Chateau Thierry and Flanders in World War I, their sons were required to repurchase in World War II in the bloody trek across northern Africa, on the beachheads of Europe, and in the Battle of the Bulge. The flag our American men raised at Iwo Jima was the same flag later raised in the defense of Incheon, Busan, and Port Chop Hill in far-off Korea. Then another generation under the same flag bled to stem the threat of communism in far-off Vietnam. Our young people were again called to carry our flag in the defense of a free world in the actions of Grenada and Panama. Willingly, our brave men and women carried our flag and the honor of the American people into battle in Operation Desert Storm. And who among us will ever forget the sight of firefighters raising our flag over the ruins of the World Trade Center, the military personnel draping our flag on the side of the Pentagon, or the citizens of Somerset County, Pennsylvania, placing our flag near the site where brave Americans died fighting the hijackers of Flight Number 93. No other symbol could have offered such comfort as we still today endure the horrors of that day. Today, American armed forces carry our flag in the villages of Iraq, the mountains of Afghanistan, and the jungles of the Philippines, and wherever terrorism may reside. Their struggle against the sponsors of terrorism is the hardest battle yet. And this threat to our nation and to our way of life is certainly as great a challenge as our flag has ever seen. The resurgence of patriotism since September 11, 2001, has rekindled respect to our flag. Today, we see the Star-Spangled Banner wherever we turn, on homes, businesses, automobiles, and billboards. Such displays stimulate our love for our nation and for what it stands. They remind us of the sacrifices being made by the men and women of our armed forces around the world. And they are a tribute to the heroes of the police and fire departments the nation over. The greatest significance of this flag, however, lies in the influence it has in the hearts and minds of millions of people. It has waved over the unparalleled progress of a nation in developing democratic institutions, scientific and technological knowledge, education, and culture. It has served as a beacon for millions of poor and oppressed refugees abroad, and it stands as a promise that the underprivileged will not be forgotten. What is the meaning of the flag of the United States? There can never be a definitive answer to that question. There are people in this world who see it as a symbol of imperialism. Others see it as a destiny of the people. But reference to these and similar views of the flag was resolved by Woodrow Wilson when he said, "This flag, which we honor and under which we serve, is the emblem of our unity, our power, our thought, and shape of this nation. It has no other character than that which we give it from generation to generation. The choices are ours. Only love, true love of our fellow man, can create peace. The emblem and token of that love is the stars and stripes, the symbol of the American way of life. Our fathers, God, to thee, author of liberty, to thee we sing. Long may our land be bright, with freedom's holy light. Protect us by thy might, great God, our King."
Thank you, Ryan. Lodge Esquire, how shall we further honor our flag?
The flag is formally honored by the Pledge of Allegiance. This pledge was written in 1892 by Francis Bellamy and published in the Youth's Companion as part of a patriotic campaign of that magazine. The pledge did not become part of the flag code until 1942, and in 1954, the phrase "under God" was added.
If you are able, please stand and pledge ourselves to never forget the principles represented by this flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Eddie.
Well, if you ask me where I come from, here's what I tell everyone. I was born by God's dear grace in an extraordinary place, where the stars and stripes and the eagle flies. It's a big old land with countless dreams. Happiness ain't out of reach. Hard work pays off the way it should. Yeah, I've seen enough to know we've got it good. The stars and stripes and the eagle flies.
There's a lady that stands in the harbor for what we believe. And there's a bell that still echoes the price that it costs to be free.
I pledge allegiance to this flag. That bothers you, well that's too bad. You got pride, you're proud you do. Hey, we could use some more like me and you. The stars and stripes and the eagle flies.
Stands in the harbor for what we believe. And there's a bell that still echoes the price that it costs to be free.
Oh, it ain't the only place on earth. It's the only place that I prefer. To love my wife and raise my kids. Hey, the same way that my daddy did. The stars and stripes and the eagle flies. Well, the stars and stripes and the eagle flies.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce today's guest speaker. Please join me in welcoming the love of my life, Greg Breeze.
That's good to know. It's always good to know. All right. How's everybody doing? I want to thank the Elks for the opportunity. It's wonderful to be with you today. I was asked to come out here and discuss what the American flag means to me. To be quite honest, by the time I got done talking about what the American flag means to me, that sun would be setting right over there, and there would be a real urgent need for everybody to use the facilities. I'm pretty confident in that. I want to challenge you a little bit. Hazard a guess, if you ask 500 people what the American flag means to them, you're going to come up with about 500 different answers. However, I think you can come up with some basic themes and concepts, or core values, I like to call them, that fit within our flag. First, I think the first one that comes to my mind is pride. Whether we look at our nation's flag to check the direction of the wind during the Pledge of Allegiance or while listening to the national anthem, most of us do feel a sense of pride. Sacrifice certainly comes to mind. Since America's beginning, citizens have sacrificed for the greater good of our country. Since inception, the American military has sacrificed in order to serve and protect our country. Those sacrifices, extremely important, are always remembered on Veterans Day, when we honor the men and women who served in our armed forces. I might be bold enough to add an editorial here and suggest that it is our duty as citizens not only to honor those true heroes once a year, but 365 and a quarter days a year. Next one that comes to my mind is opportunity. America is synonymous with the term, the land of opportunity. Since the beginning, the United States has been a place where people have had the opportunity to begin anew and to build a better life. Importantly, hope. The United States of America is a beacon of hope. When you think of the American tradition, hope may not be the first thing that comes to mind, but hope has been a tradition in our country since it was founded, and it remains extremely important. Strength. I think the flag represents strength. A tradition of strength is also coupled with our cooperation and has been a motive seen throughout American history. Freedom. The American flag means freedom, and there are countless songs and poems that affirm that characteristics for the United States. I think maybe Lee Greenwood said it best with, "I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died that gave that right to me." America is the home of the free and the brave. To get personal about it, the flag is so important that it tells the history of America itself. It represents the freedom, dignity, the true meaning of being an American citizen to me. It has been with us through our war times, through our sad times, but also in our times of our greatest joys and triumphs. As the Elks have shown us here today, the flag has gone through many different variations before becoming the flag that we know, honor, and love today. We meet to celebrate Flag Day because this flag, which we honor, which all American citizens serve, is the emblem of our unity, our power, our thought, and our purpose as a nation. It has no other character than what we give it from generation to generation, as Wilson said. The choices are ours. It floats in majestic silence above the citizens who execute those choices, and yet, though silent, it speaks to us. It speaks to us about the past, of the men and women who went before us, and of the records they wrote upon it. We celebrate the day of its birth, and from its birth until now, it has witnessed great history. It's floated high as a symbol of great events, of a great plan of life worked out by great people. Best put, I can work a comparison. I don't know how else to summarize my feelings on the flags without letting the sun set here. With my job, if I can ask for your forgiveness here, talk a little bit about my job, and just imagine my job being the flag, because I think this reflects my true feelings on the American flag. People ask me, where do you work? I always answer with great pride, Resource Environmental Solutions. Great, what do you do? That's always what they're after, right? They don't care where you work. It's the root of the conversation they're looking for. I make it simple for them, and I tell them, I help put projects on the landscape that change the environment we're currently living in while making long-term ecological improvements to our communities. Simple answer, and honestly, it's a conversation stopper. Right? The connection between people and the natural environment is tedious for most. We conceptually understand the idea of clean air, clean water, the big picture stuff, of wanting to have a natural environment we can be proud of and thrive in. Then again, try and explain the concept of capturing pollutants in one area to reduce them and then trading them off with pollutants from another area. Eyes start to glaze over for most folks, not in the environmental field. It's not that people don't care, it's that they just don't understand. We tend to miss the links to our interconnected world and the opportunities to rise above individual interactions with nature, to appreciate that we are really drinking dinosaur pee and we're all in this same snow globe together. One day in my job, I was privileged to be on a property in western Wisconsin with one of my colleagues. It was in the heart of the Driftless area. The landscape in that area is absolutely incredible. If you haven't been there, please go. As far as the eye can see, the landscape has determinate bluffs, coulees, valleys, and tree lines. There's these winding streams, and always out there's the fresh dairy air gracing our winds. On almost every silo when we were walking out there was an American flag proudly waving to us on top of those silos. We were currently looking at a small trout stream that had been used and loved by a family farm for more than 100 years, trying to come up with possible ways to do that pollutant thing that I talked about. It was a beautiful day, the bluest of skies, almost perfect temperatures, and just enough breeze to keep the mosquitoes at bay. Walking the stream with these brothers and learning the history of the site was a treat. The stories of their past efforts, like planting the willows, battling floodwaters, keeping the hillside seeps open, they all added to my personal sense of past and present. not to mention the historic barn that they renovated into a family heirloom. It all added up to a great day. After looking at this property, the brothers offered us to tour one additional property that they own just up the road. Of course, we took the opportunity. Following them up the winding road, we came upon the property. As we reached the top of the watershed, we turned into a field, drove through the farm to the stream's headwaters. This source is a spring-fed wetland that's braided downhill and eventually turned into the same trout stream that flowed by the farm. All the skunk cabbage and flower and fen-type plants, it was great to see. A secluded coulee with no traffic noise, diverse vegetation ranging from hardwoods to native grasses, all playing together to form an ecological system that was really amazing to me. That's not where it ends. That's where it starts. See, when we pulled off that road and we pulled into the coulee, we were able to see all of the obvious natural features. But then we came to a secluded wooded area, and I saw the crowning glory of the day. It was an American flag, proudly flying in the middle of this ecological wonder. With a little closer look, I noticed that this small area was very well maintained. A modest area of mowed lawn with a flower garden of natives in full bloom. The flower garden was full of activities with pollinators of many types. We even had hummingbirds coming by with all of their amazing colors. We had their frogs calling out to us. It was remarkable. But we also noticed that the flag was displayed correctly in this little mowed area. It was lit by solar-powered lighting and a metal piece of art showing an Army helicopter. Then, right next to the flags, we saw some white crosses, sending my heart into a tumble. Moving me even further was the POW MIA work of art just behind the crosses. A close-to-home reminder to look deeply at everything, not just what's in front of your nose. That memorial had to be something very special. Being able to hear the springs and babbling flowing creek brought a sense of peace and serenity, the kind where a conversation is had by using a very soft voice. Hearing the wind whisper through the planted pines, the calls of several frogs breaking the silence, and even a whitetail watching every move, it was an easy place to sit and think and recharge your batteries. I had to ask myself, why was this here and what is going on? This clearly was not a family project, but something that the brothers started long ago. I needed to know, so I asked for the story behind this. One of the brothers, Bill, was generous enough to share his story of how it came about. You see, Bill, he's an American Vietnam veteran, and he has experienced and seen things most of us never have, and pray to God we never will. He faithfully served our country and our flag, and has the scarring memories to prove it. He's a strong, resilient person, the kind you look to and you know he deserves your admiration. We sat and discussed some of the turbulent times during and after Vietnam and his challenges that came along with that. Bill is enhanced by his sense of pride of being an American, and I am continually amazed at who he is. I feel sheer reverence for what he selflessly has done and continues to do today. Having an uncle who also served in Vietnam and friends in many other locations worldwide, his stories really resonated with me. He explained the entire story of the memorial, which touched both of us at a profoundly personal level. For me, I thought about my friends and what they must be carrying with them. Thought to myself, how could I ever truly thank them? Dropping a simple thank you for your service has always felt hollow to me. And this person and this moment cemented that truth. You see, Bill comes out of to this sacred area almost every day and sits in a simple lawn chair. He'll sit and recall what I hope are the good memories of those who perished. I was honored to have been allowed to spend a moment in his chair, a courtesy extended to me without hesitation, except by me. During that short time of feeling the depth in his chair, a slightly stronger wind blew. It revealed a wonderful wind chime that he had constructed just behind the memorial, large enough to give a sound that is mild, lingering, and unending. As I sat and listened, waiting for the chime to end, something occurred to me. There was no real end to this chime, only a slowly fading volume replenished by the love, honor, and respect that this small place commands. Sharing this story with you because this story reminded me of the importance of our values of our country. With reverence and respect, I'm asking that the next time you have a chance, don't just thank our veterans for their service and sacrifice. Understand how connected they are with you and appreciate their complete story. Perhaps rather than a superficial thank you, strike a conversation to understand each other better. Search for the same interconnected results that Mother Nature has. Maybe even try this approach with everyone and everything, not just veterans. Let these conversations become one of the countless moments in our world that slowly but surely amount to positive changes rather than words without a depth of meaning. All of a sudden, you may find those deeper interconnected meanings are worth the effort. It's my hope and endeavor that our flag waves to us today and reminds us
if tomorrow all the things were gone I worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you to defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, there is pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you to defend us still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you to defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
First of all, I want to thank Greg for that speech. Outstanding. That was a big wow, Greg. That was very inspirational. Thank you. And introducing our Watertown Elks house band, the Jolly Courts. That'd be Lee Christopherson in the vocals, Wayne Arbogast on bass, Beth Brodsky on piano. On piano, and Wayne Brady on vocals and drums. In conclusion of this observance of Flag Day, let us rededicate ourselves to the flag of the United States of America, and may the principles of charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity ever increase in each of us. I now declare this service closed. Thank you so much for everyone for coming and joining us in this great celebration of Old Glory and the military service people that secure our glorious flag. And now I hope you'll all join us at the Elks Lodge for snacks and refreshments. Thank you.